prostitution. Transporting the sex workers for the freak-offs. That makes up its own individual federal charge that Combs is facing. Third, the idea of Combs and his alleged co-conspirators using his businesses and his power and his wealth to facilitate these freak-offs, that is an element of the racketeering conspiracy charge.
What's going on, guys? Back with another video. Team So Wealthy. They say the sky's the limit, but it ain't no limit for us. You feel me? Boom. As y'all can tell by the title, y'all see what we're gonna be getting into. This P. Diddy jump. We're gonna be getting into a little freaky dude. You feel me? With all the freak offs, little freak parties. You feel me? We're gonna get into this jump. You feel me? Like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you can get notified every time I drop another video. We dropping, we working. You feel me? So doggone, let's get it, let's go.
Use force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
Freak-offs. It's a term you might not have heard before.
Freak-offs, right? Hear it up. It's a term you might not heard of. The dog go wild. But he was having that out. Like she was saying that because it's on a little private little jump. You feel me? And it's only a certain people like you chosen to be a part of the jump and all type of jump. Like, I'm gonna try to, but I don't want to get into videos that I already watched. You feel what I'm saying? So doing it a reaction to it is not raw. I don't put no raw reactions like all these videos that I put up here. These videos I watch, you feel me? And so like I'm just reacting to the ones that I haven't watched yet, I haven't seen. You feel me? Like this video new, I haven't even seen it yet. You feel me? So I don't want to react to something that I already seen. You feel what I'm saying? But it's some video I'm gonna try to find some stuff to doggone to watch with y'all and everything that ain't doggone. And then when I go live though, I'm gonna be going live doggone Mondays and Fridays. You feel me? And so when I go live and everything, I'll watch videos with y'all that I already watched type thing. You feel me? But when I do pre-recorded videos, it's straight raw reactions I'm gonna do. You feel me? But let's get into it.
Year ago, but today, if you've been following the Sean Diddy Combs legal saga, you know exactly what it is. And it is these sex performances that are at the center of the rapper's criminal allegations. We're going to break down the times freak-offs were mentioned in various legal documents to make sense of what they are and what role they play in Sean Combs' case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Let's talk about the freak-offs, okay? So these are at the center of Sean Combs' New York criminal case, where he's facing federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, and the freak-offs are what could essentially send Sean Combs to prison for potentially the rest of his life.
With Spectrum Internet and Spectrum Mobile, get a fast, reliable, and seamless connection wherever creativity sparks.
And it is the freak-offs that will make or break this case. If the prosecution can properly prove how they are illegal, that they happened, that they were not consensual as the defense has claimed, that is how they win their case. And it's that term, freak-off, that has made its way into a number of legal documents since this whole saga began, and that is what we're going to get into. That's what we're going to explore. Each time freak-offs were mentioned and how it fits into the overall case against Sean Combs. Because every time they are mentioned, we learn a little bit more details. Hey, so I want to take a quick minute to thank Upside for sponsoring today's Law and Crime YouTube take to your bank account. Is or credit card and how much you could earn. Code LC. So I want to begin with Sean Combs' indictment, criminal charges. Here are what prosecutors from the Southern District of New York say about freak-offs, how they define them. Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly and sometimes lasted multiple days and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. So a bunch of things to break down here. Aside from the idea of how intense these sessions were, that you need IV fluids. First, what makes these alleged freak-off sessions different from orgies or group sex is the idea that this wasn't consensual, that force.
Oh, see, I wasn't understanding that for real, dog. I wasn't understanding that for real. So I thought the freak off was like a orgy type jump. Feel me what I'm saying? But I ain't heard like like freak off like that. Like, you feel me? But it's like, dog. So I thought it was like a orgy, like you say, like, and that's consensual. Like, everybody knows what's going on, like whatever y'all doing, like, boom. But freak off is not consensual, so they don't agree to. So basically, it's rape. So it's like I don't understand. You got to do more explaining.
Threats, coercion, they were used to cause people to participate in.
Or somebody in the comments, because y'all be knowing everything. So y'all explain with the freak out.
In these performances. It was against their will. It was done at Combs' pleasure. That's the allegation. Second, the commercial sex workers is what also makes this illegal. Prostitution. Transporting the sex workers for the freak-offs. That makes up its own individual federal charge that Combs is facing. Third, the idea of Combs and his alleged co-conspirators using his businesses and his power and his wealth to facilitate these freak-offs, that is an element of the racketeering conspiracy charge, an illegal agreement to violate racketeering laws, that there is a criminal enterprise that Combs directed that engaged in all kinds of illicit activities. And actually, let's continue with that, because the indictment also reads, members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial sex workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. Now, what's interesting about all of that is that, according to prosecutors, Combs didn't and couldn't have done all of this alone, right? And what's interesting is he is the only one named as a defendant in this case, well, at least currently. And it makes you wonder if the supervisors, the security staff, the household staff, the assistants, are they all cooperating witnesses who have provided information to prosecutors? Will they be called as witnesses? Are they going to potentially be charged themselves? We shall see. But again, this is like a network. These freak-offs couldn't have happened without Combs and a network of support staff. And when you think about how elaborate all of these alleged freak-offs are, including the travel, the booking of the hotel rooms, there's a paper trail there. And prosecutors have indicated that during the course of this federal investigation, they have the receipts, they have the records to prove these freak-offs happened. The indictment goes on to say that in or about March of 2024, during searches of Combs' residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, these are, of course, the infamous militarized raids on Combs' properties that we all saw, prosecutors say law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. So now we're talking about potential physical evidence of the freak-offs. And what could be a defense to having so much baby oil and lubricant? Well, I can't say this is going to necessarily be the defense that Sean Combs' legal team will run with at trial, which, by the way, is currently scheduled for May of 2025. But what we remember is that his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, told TMZ right after Combs' arrest and indictment, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. I think they have Costco's in every place. He has a home. Well, Costco actually came out and said, we don't sell baby oil. So again, I don't think that's going to be a defense that they run with, but I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think that Sean Combs' legal team is going to own up to the freak-offs. They're going to say, yeah, he had group sex. Yeah, he called it freak-offs. Yeah, he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube for the freak-offs, but everything was consensual. Everything was on the up and up. Everybody agreed to this. May be weird to you and me. May be weird to you, jury.
I mean, what do you need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? But that was like Mud saying, that probably was just a re-up. You feel what I'm saying? Like, imagine how many bottles that already been used. You feel what I'm saying? Like y'all, like, I don't even want to know what it was used for. You feel me? Like, for real, it's like, oh, that y'all got going on. It's like, man, dude, bro, dude, wicked, man. I don't know all the allegations against him. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. You feel me? It's like, man, that John is looking weird, man.
But a freak-off is not a crime. There has to be something more there. But as I mentioned, there are elements alleged by prosecutors that make it a crime, although defense attorneys will say that none of that took place. There was no force, there was no threats, there was no coercion. But with all of this in mind, prosecutors also allege in their indictment with respect to freak-offs, Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. This is what makes the freak-offs illegal, if these allegations are true. And by the way, going back to the evidence that these freak-offs actually happened,
he had to pull the same move I had pulled, because we don't, if him, like Muzz just saying, you know that's what they putting up against them, but it's like, bro, it's like, when they even be on the type of junk, and that junk even be put on you is crazy.
let's actually turn now to a letter the government filed with the court when they were opposing Sean Combs' bail when he was arrested. They write in this letter, quote, for example, victim testimony regarding freak-offs is at times corroborated by other witness testimony, communications with the defendant and commercial sex workers, so you have to imagine there might be text messages there, travel records, hotel records, videos of the freak-offs, and records reflecting or indicating payment. Not only do they say they have videos of the freak-offs, but prosecutors say they have, quote, dozens of video recordings created by the defendant of freak-offs with victims. So we always wondered what was collected from the electronic devices belonging to Sean Combs and others, and perhaps the surveillance footage from Combs' properties, because prosecutors say the freak-offs happened at Diddy's homes. Now you're getting a sense of it. By the way, what also the bail letter revealed, which was interesting, is that prosecutors say the freak-offs, they have been going on for a long time, that they were happening regularly since at least 2009. They also allege that sometimes hotel rooms where the freak-offs happen, it would get so wild that the rooms would sustain significant damages. And they allege that, quote, in approximately 2012 in Manhattan, the defendant paid over $46,000 to cover damages to a penthouse hotel room following a freak-off. And if there are records of those damages and payments or transaction history to cover the costs, that is going to be key for the prosecution's case. By the way, in this letter, they also describe another aspect of the freak-offs that I want to mention. The defendant ensured the victims would participate in freak-offs through coercion and violence. For instance, the defendant provided controlled substances, including ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, to female victims so that they could and would continue to engage in freak-offs despite fatigue, physical and emotional exhaustion, and pain. And possession and or distribution of these drugs is actually listed as an underlying crime as part of the racketeering conspiracy charge that Combs faces. But again, the drugs kept participants of these freak-offs essentially compliant. That's again what makes this a crime. Now, I have to highlight something else that prosecutors point out. They write, in March of 2016, the defendant was captured on video surveillance striking, kicking, and dragging a woman in a public area of a hotel in an apparent attempt to prevent her from leaving a freak-off. When a member of hotel security staff intervened, the defendant attempted to offer the hotel security officer a stack of cash to ensure his silence. After the security guard refused the defendant's bribe, and after coordination between the defendant and his employees, the defendant's staff contacted other members of hotel security. At the same time, staff members were in close communication with the victim of the assault as well, all in an effort to cover up the defendant's assault and to prevent the incident from being publicly disclosed. Within days of the incident, the surveillance video disappeared from the hotel's server. And of course, we all know this is a direct reference to Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, who initially filed that sexual assault and sex trafficking lawsuit against Sean Combs back in November of 2023. And of course, we all saw this episode play out in front of our very own eyes in video.
Hey, dog. You never tell me what the video. My brother never tell me what the video. He was kicking like that, but it ain't. I'm not laughing at her. You feel me? Because it ain't funny at all. You feel what I'm saying? Like, dog, that was messed up. And you don't supposed to treat women like that. You know what I'm saying? But
that was published by CNN back in May. And what it shows is Combs, back in 2016, purportedly attacking Cassandra Ventura in a hallway at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, literally chasing after her and beating her up, all while he's wearing a robe. And Combs even apologized for this on an Instagram post 2 days after this video was published. But the key here for prosecutors is they say Ventura was trying to escape a freak-off when Combs caught up with her. And there has been the allegation that there was even a sex worker in that hotel room that she ran from. Now, after Sean Combs' bail was denied the first time, the issue then went up to another judge, and the prosecution submitted a new bail letter to the court. And in that letter, they revealed a shocker. They wrote, quote, "Indeed, since at least in or about January 2024, when the defendant was unquestionably aware of the criminal investigation, the evidence shows that he is engaged in multiple freak-offs, some involving the interstate transportation of individuals to participate. He's continued to use narcotics and has contacted multiple witnesses." So let's just put a timeline on this real quick. They are saying that Sean Combs allegedly still engaged in freak-offs after he had already been hit with multiple sexual assault lawsuits and after they say he knew the feds were looking into him. And this is why they argued he's a danger to society. He cannot be controlled. He shouldn't be allowed bail or pretrial release. But to be clear about something, Sean Combs' arrest and his indictment, this was not the first time we heard the term freak off. No, if we go back to November of 2023, when Cassandra Ventura filed her sexual assault and trafficking lawsuit against Sean Combs, that lawsuit, by the way, got the whole ball rolling on all the other lawsuits and seemingly launched the criminal case against Sean Combs. But that was the first time that I know I heard the term freak off. I imagine that's when all of you heard the term freak off. Because let's get into Ventura's complaint, because it provided a more personal account of the freak off. It read, quote, Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak off or FO. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Miss Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of male sex workers.
Nah, see, I ain't never heard it like that, like just like or like telling a girl like I only have a freak off, or telling them, you know, or FO, or I ain't got it. Like, nah, that's like some shit. That's like some shit that he made up. You feel me? So, cause when you have a certain, you feel me, like you got certain power to be able to do really what you want to do for real. So, and it's just if others with it or if they not. And then there's all of this stuff going on, like a freak off, they not with it. You feel me? Because that's what he was saying, the freak off is, it ain't consensual. You feel me? But he forcing in and bribing in with money, saying that he'll give them an opportunity to have them come around him, you feel me, and drugging them and doing stuff like that. It makes sense. Let's get into it.
At certain points during Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs' relationship, he would insist on an FO weekly. Mr. Combs would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura that this practice was our thing and our secret. FOs would often take place in hotel suites, including at the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle, the Hermitage Beverly Hills, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental Atlanta, the Intercontinental New York City, the One Hotel in New York and in Miami, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in New York and Miami, the Fontainebleau in Miami, the Beverly Hills Hotel, and Shutters on the Beach in Los Angeles. So this level of description, this first-hand account, the similarities with the indictment, this is what leads me to believe that this whole criminal case was built on Cassandra Ventura and why she seems to be the star witness. I mean, after all, when Sean Combs is charged with that individual count of sex trafficking using force, fraud, or coercion, they mention victim one in the indictment. They don't name who this person is, but by all accounts, victim one is Cassandra Ventura. Even though this person isn't identified, you can put two and two together. And Cassandra Ventura claims that Combs instructed her to arrange the freak-offs, including using websites and escort services to find the male sex workers and pay for their travel. And like prosecutors say, she claimed that Combs' assistants would set up the freak-offs, including getting baby oil and Astroglide. And also in her complaint, like we heard from prosecutors, she alleges that an FO at the Intercontinental Hotel in New York City back in 2013 got so wild that it damaged the room, and she alleged that Combs' chief of staff, Tony Fletcher, paid the invoice. Again, if there's a record of that, that will be key. Now, Ventura also alleged that Combs supplied her with copious amounts of drugs to keep her compliant during these freak-offs. And she also provided more details too, writing, quote, Miss Ventura was required to dress up in lingerie for an FO, and Mr. Combs insisted she wear white nail polish to contrast her nails with the skin of the black men he hired to have sex with her. During the FO, Mr. Combs would instruct Miss Ventura to pour excessive amounts of oil all over herself. Mr. Combs would then instruct Miss Ventura and the sex workers to speak to each other, and then would specifically tell Miss Ventura where to touch the sex workers. Mr. Combs would say things like, "How does it feel?" as he directed her to perform for him. And talking about recording the FOs, Ventura alleged the following. During the FOs, in addition to directing Miss Ventura and masturbating, Mr. Combs would use his phone, laptop, and tablet to film Miss Ventura having sex with the hired sex worker. He treated the forced encounter as a personal art project, adjusting the candles he used for lighting to frame the videos he took. While Miss Ventura quickly deleted any photographs or video of sex acts if they were taken on her phone, Mr. Combs repeatedly made clear that he retained many videos of Miss Ventura during FOs. Even when she deleted the videos, Mr. Combs would tell Miss Ventura that he was able to recover deleted videos.
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
From her devices. On one occasion, he sat next to her on a flight and made her watch a video she thought she had deleted, reinforcing her inability to escape and the immense power he held over her. She also alleged that Combs hit her in front of the male sex workers. She also recounted that 2016 hotel attack verbatim with what that tape showed that we all saw. And she also alleged that she became so anxious before a freak-off that she would get physically sick. But she claims Combs forced her to perform nonetheless. The complaint reads, she knew firsthand that telling Mr. Combs that she did not want to engage in FOs was met with anger and violence. But it wasn't just Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit that we heard about freak-offs before the indictment and arrest. Rather, in Combs' former music producer Rodney Little Rod Jones' lawsuit against Sean Combs, we heard about them too. And this is the lawsuit where Jones accused Sean Combs of sexually trafficking and assaulting him. But in Jones' suit, he actually named names. For example, he alleged that DJ and music producer Stevie J had attended and participated in freak-offs. And what was really disturbing is that he alleged Combs' own son, Justin, engaged in freak-offs too. For example, he wrote, Jones alleged on or about January 2023, Justin Combs engaged in a freak-off session on a yacht with his father and sex workers. And then Jones leaves this little nugget. Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person who has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. If that's true, that sentence should actually be reversed now to the government, the prosecutors, possess the footage, which again, not only is a key piece of evidence, but could lead to charges against other people, or at the very least could be used as leverage to get these other people to cooperate in Sean Combs' criminal case. Now, there of course have been other references to freak-offs and other documents here and there, but really what we just went through are the main ones that we need to address so we have a better understanding of how these episodes will play a role in Sean Combs' criminal case. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, please...
Hey, I don't know, that's on crazy right there, but they done broke down some stuff that I ain't even know. You feel me? Like I ain't know a lot about, but then they got a lot of stuff in there what people done said. You feel me about them or whatever, and doggone, it's crazy. And let me know how y'all feel in the comments. You feel me? But you already know, God doggone, show that love, and we gonna keep it pushing. I got another video to do. I'm out. Peace.